A key to getting to know oneself better, if that is something that we are interested in, which could be a good idea, would be to become aware of the extent to which the entirety of our perceptions and of our judgments are dominated by self interest. The problem is not in itself, as it might sometimes be phrased, quote unquote, subjectivity, meaning the issue is not that I see things from a distinct point of view. Presumably, those are the only points of view that there are. There are first person points of view, and they are distinct. They are conditioned by individual elements, by the ideas that I have, and by my education, and by all aspects of my individuality overall. So that's not the problem. The problem is not something that can't be changed. Uh, the solution is not to try to jump outside of oneself in some kind of imaginary way, right? We might imagine that I am here in my skull, and the way to be objective would be to jump out right there, into the landscape or whatnot. That's just imaginary. That's not the problem. The problem would be our vanity and our pride and our selfishness and our self-centeredness, such that skews our judgments and such that skews our perceptions in an unjust way, right? So for example, somebody intimidates me and I begin to perceive them as evil. uh, why is that a problem? Well, because that which is conditioning my perception of the other person, meaning what is determining it, is my smallness, my pettiness, my lack of love for others. Right? If I really had love for other people and I had love for truth and for excellence and for goodness, then somebody else's accolades would not intimidate me. I would take pride in them as a member of the human species, and I would be happy for the person, uh, considered from his or her own point of view. So the fact that I am not thus happy and that I am bitter and that I am resentful when I see other people succeed would be that an example of that. Right? My whole perception of you, the very way that I experience you, whether I've heard about you in the news, you're a politician, a social media celebrity, or a friend or a family member, is determined by this kind of guck inside of me. What are some other examples? Say that, say my ambitions, right? I may claim that my ambitions are disinterested, meaning I'm looking out for the good of the humanity and the beauty and the puppies, something like that, along those lines. But in reality, it's just that I want power. I want dominance, which is fine, right, in and of its own self. But if I could be honest about that and then find a proper channel for that, then perhaps I would not in this way deceive myself. My ambitions then might not be in light of these super self centered aspects of myself. So that would basically be the point. Again, the problem is not the subjectivity of each individual, which appears to be certainly inevitable. The problem is my kind of poor ethical development, such that skews all of my mental operations, such that skews my whole psychology. I have an opinion and I claim that it is objective in the sense of not being determined solely by my pettiness that I would not want to admit. Right? I hate this group of people, not because I need somebody to project on or because they intimidate me or make me feel bad. In comparison, I hate them because they are objectively hateable. That person makes me angry, not because of my own trigger points or buttons or whatnot, but because that person is intrinsically, objectively, in an external way to myself, worthy of being angry at. That kind of thing. We lie to ourselves about our inappropriate subjectivity, and that keeps us in that appropriate subjectivity. So the step forward would seem to be, or the step that could permit us to go forward would seem to be to at least acknowledge that. When I express an opinion or I have a thought where I form a judgment. Ask myself, what parts of me such that I'm not too proud of, or influencing that thought or that judgment or that opinion. Try to say it at least to myself explicitly. We understand that in public, that might not be practical. Right? So, for example, if every politician was perfectly honest, he or she might say something along the following lines: please elect me because I want to be successful and I want to feel powerful and I want to fulfill my personal ambitions. I obviously couldn't give one hoot about my abstract notion of humanity or anything like that, or of my country. I just want to be successful like anybody else. Like a kid wants to win an arm wrestling match, I want to win and be powerful as a politician. We understand politicians that would say that might have some problems, or they suppose they would. Maybe the public would actually be appreciative of that. If somebody, for example, wants to make it in some kind of sphere that could promote them to fame, if they were honest, they could say, I don't care about what it is that I'm doing. I don't care about you. I just want to be famous. As it happens, I have to create some kind of value for other people in order for them to promote me to popularity, but that's not my concern. I want to be famous. Or we would say, I just want to make money. I don't care about this job. Imagine showing up to an interview saying, I couldn't give a hoot about this stupid position. I just need to pay my rent. Or maybe I do care about this position, but simply because I have a broader concept of my success, and this will feed into it. And imagine if we told our partner, I don't even have any awareness, a romantic partner, of you as an individual. You are replaceable in principle. However, in order to feel successful, in order to fulfill my vision of what it takes to be where I want to be in life, I need somebody in this placeholder, excuse me. That might not go over so well. Or if we said that to our children. Right, so we get the point. We obscure these self-centered, lowly, selfish motives that skew again our whole experience of life. If we do it concerning others, fine. Sometimes there's no other choice, as was mentioned, or no good choice. But at least to ourselves, tell the truth. Right? At least in my own head, or if I want to talk quietly to myself out loud, if that's more helpful, at least tell the truth to myself as such. And then hopefully, with time, those purely self centered, purely vain motivations might perhaps subside. And then I can see as to what my desires, what my perceptions, what my judgments, what my thoughts would be like or could be like without that negative subjectivity changing everything. So we can think about it. Thank you for listening.